I'm excited to welcome you today, and I just wanted to thank everyone in advance for joining us. We'll be letting participants in the room, so you see that number increasing, but in the meantime, I'm proud to open up this event and introduce our panelists today. So I'm really excited about this afternoon with the future of retail. We have an amazing panel of entrepreneurs and experts here to share with you and us our take on the future of retail, presented by the Bernick Entrepreneurship Center. My name is Sarah Bentham, and I'm the director of HBEC, and I'm joined by my amazing colleague, Jenna, who will be closing out this event and sharing other exciting future opportunities to connect. The Bernick Entrepreneurship Center at Georgian College supports students and entrepreneurs across Central Ontario with starting, scaling, and growing businesses. By providing mentorship across a large array of expertise in business, which is being offered virtually right now, business owners and startups can overcome challenges, attract investment, find funding, and network with the right folks who can help them take their business further faster. Now in its 6th year of operation, the Bernick Entrepreneurship Center has won 2 global awards and provides resources for hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs each year. If you are a business owner or know one that might want to access this type of support, please visit our website and follow us on social media at the links listed below. I'm proud at this time to share the Indigenous Land Acknowledgement. Georgian College acknowledges that all campuses are situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people. The Anishinaabe include the Odawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. Georgian College is dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people. The format of today brings us 5 entrepreneurs and experts who will share their take on the future of retail as it pertains to their experience and their industry. Each panelist will have 5 minutes to share with our expert moderator, Michael Agama of Agama Work, and there will be 5 minutes for question and answer. For those joining us today by Zoom, please send in your questions through the Q&A button below. At this time, please refrain from using the chat feature. I now am going to turn this conversation and introduce Michael Agama.
Good morning, or good afternoon.
Hey, I'm going to read your bio, and then I'm going to turn it on over to you, because it's really exciting.
Thank you.
Michael is a connector, as you can tell, entrepreneur and an educator. Most importantly, he's an inspiring storyteller, which I know you'll find today. He's worked as an administrator, a professor, and a program coordinator at Georgian College, Humber College, and Seneca College, teaching courses in business management and finance. He holds a Master of Arts leadership degree from Royal Roads University. As a speaker, Michael delivers keynotes on the sharing economy, bridging cultural diversity in the workplace, and taking your BS and turning it into FU. And I think we need a whole other session on that. An entrepreneur, Michael has been part of several business startups, from a house painting company at 14 years old to founder and CEO of Agama Work and Agama Mobile app. Agama Mobile brings associates from 35 countries, providing trusted staffing solutions. His business mantra is always be connecting. Michael believes that even in this high-tech world, business relationships are still the most important factor in the foundation of success. So you are in good hands here with Michael, and I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Sarah, and good afternoon, everyone. This is exciting. When Sarah first asked me to moderate this panel, I said, of course, we should have a discussion about the future of retailing, because if you're like me, how we have consumed items, how we have purchased items, the words we use in retail have changed dramatically. I can honestly say, and maybe you can agree with me, I have never spoken to technologies more than I have in the last 4 months, asking Amazon, Echo, or Google Home to find me something. And so one of the things we're going to talk about with our fine panelists today is how, if you've slept under a rock for 4 months and you've just woken up from a Zen moment, you realize that retail will never go back to the way it is. And if you listen to some of the pundits out there that talk about that, what happened in the last 4 months as an accelerator of how business is now done really was going to happen in the next 10 years. But COVID came along, and I can guarantee you as well that nobody in their 2020 business plan, including myself, wrote in their threats under their SWOT analysis that we would have a pandemic that would shut down business for so many months and allow us to then pivot, become more agile in how we deliver things. So I think we're going to find today from our panelists that they have survived. Even in the big scheme of things, you walk downtown, you walk in the regional malls, and you'll notice that things are not quite the same. So we're going to have some fun. We're going to have some discussions. We look forward to your questions, and we're going to get started. So our first panelist today, our first guest, is Stephanie Gourlie. She's the owner of Discount Granite Plus and the Tile Flooring and Design Company. She is recognized as a strategic, creative, and integrated thinker with over 15 years of experience in human resource management in retail and manufacturing environments, sales and marketing relations, creative ideation, and productivity. Wow. So the floor is yours, Stephanie. Talk about, let's go back to January until July and what's happened in Discount Granite.
Well, hi, thank you for having me. I'm really, really excited to be here today. So yes, we are custom stone fabricators and tile retailers and contractors. And it's been really interesting to see how the whole dynamic around construction has really transformed over the last few months with everything going on COVID. We shut our business down to the public, if you will, in early March because there was so much uncertainty. Everyone was very concerned. There were questions that we couldn't answer. And we wanted to make sure our team was safe and that our clients were safe. So we ultimately closed our doors to the public, but then we absolutely went online. And we found that in doing so, we really were focusing on customer service. Like that became the bare bones predominant function and really objective of what we were trying to do. It was maintaining communication, making sure we were still accessible because people had questions and we really didn't necessarily have the answers to them. So as we were able to start acquiring PPE and start working from a manufacturing standpoint to still provide safely products to our clients, we started really utilizing some of the tools that we've always had access to, but people didn't really always shop that way because again, in construction, it's a tactile environment. It's a tactile product. People want to see and touch and feel their stone, their tile, and make sure it matches with their color swatches or their paint or their cabinet. So we've always had access to some really cool online virtual spaces to help our clients envision what their finished product would look like. So a lot of it again was going back to email, utilizing those visual planning spaces, using our cell phones, texting our clients pictures of clothes, or being able and available to them at all hours of the day to really calm their nerves and make sure that they felt like they were still going to get value and that they still had faith in our business, that we were going to get through this in some capacity, and then they were going to get what they in essence had in some instances already paid for. So we've been able to work from home and we still are, but we're still servicing our clients and we're servicing them actually much more efficiently now than we did before.
So just a couple of questions. So, and you talk about this, the home renovation business has probably been booming because like others, I'm tired of the same paint. I've seen the same paint. I'm looking at counters. So what has changed in the store? When you talk about customer service experience, how do you match what is in the store with your online presence? So
because our products are so unique in the way of natural stone, that's a bit more of an intimate experience in the way of selection. And so again, really working one-on-one with our clients to understand what their needs are and then finding solutions for them remotely and then sending them that visual aid has been helpful. But a lot of our primary products, you can shop through our website. We connect to our collections of quartz products that are manufactured stone so that our clients can understand that if they see this swatch, in essence, this is what they're going to get. So really encouraging our clients to take ownership of that shopping as opposed to saying, well, I want to see it in person. Helping them find reassurance and knowing that what they are seeing is actually what's going to translate into that finished product when it does make it to their home. So if a client has insisted on coming in, they're more serious because we've already done a lot of the legwork in advance. They understand what they're committing to, and so it's giving them that peace of mind that they technically already knew they had. But I think again, as people have been getting more comfortable with shopping remotely, now it's an easier transaction. And I hate to say that word, but in essence, it is.
Have you found it difficult accessing products because of the pandemic? You know, getting stone and other types of fixtures that help create that experience. So has it been a challenge? And what are you doing to fix that?
So yes, especially again early on when there were a lot of questions about, you know, what surfaces, you know, the virus could live on and things of that nature. So we were very, very cautious about putting out what we already had that we knew we could sterilize, and then who we were receiving material from based on their location, you know, throughout the GTA. We're lucky in that majority of the material that we purchased is still in stock. Our in-stock material is running low, but our suppliers are replenishing now that, again, the borders are open and globally they can import. And it's fantastic that we've been able to establish connections with them over the years that we've been in business. And so they really do prioritize our boutique, our environment. So if we need something, we are actually able to fulfill orders relatively quickly in the way of at least receiving the material. Now we're just so busy. We're onboarding, we're hiring, because we can't keep up.
Which is awesome, right?
Which is a great problem.
Which is awesome. So what do you think is one of the biggest barriers still as you transition, you will continue to use the word pivot? What is some of the biggest challenges still moving forward, whether it's your technology or your in-store presence?
I still do find, and I think about my parents, for example, my mom is not an online shopper. If you told her she needed to go online to buy something, she would have no idea where to start. So it's still making sure that our customers are able to find us and access us and understand how to do business with us, because we haven't been able to update all of the information and technology that we have access to. So, you know, working with, for example, the Barrie Chamber of Commerce, they've partnered with HVAC and Sandbox and some other really great partners here in the community to offer services that will allow businesses to find a presence online and offer some of the additional services that or products that they have that might not traditionally have, you know, been available. And so we're looking at ways to continue to explore those opportunities through those mediums. I mean, shopping local has been huge for us, but again, like some people just don't know how to pivot or how to find businesses that have pivoted. So we're very excited to continue to explore a lot of those opportunities that are out there and that are coming from people that are seeing that there's a need for this and that realistically the future is online.
Yeah. Okay. Do you find customers are coming to you because of the online presence from areas and markets that you did not anticipate you would get new business from?
Yes, we've been reaching out to some further regions than usual, especially this time of year. And I think that's a matter of just, again, availability and reputation and the trust factor. So we've got customers we've done projects across the province and nationally. But yes, there are some interesting areas that are popping up for us to do projects. And it's been really interesting trying to service them and figuring out how they found out about us. And a lot of it is through our social media posts and our online presence. And again, the networks that we're able to share information through, that they're able to find us. So yeah, it's good. It's different. Business is different. It really is. I don't know if it's normalizing or we're just getting used to it now, but it's been interesting to see how this the last 4 months has run and how it's gone and how July has played out, which is traditionally not the busiest because of, you know, the switch that people make from being at home and then into summer mode and then getting ready for back to school. But it's different. Again, like you said, everyone wants, I guess, new countertops or something different because they've been stuck at home.
Right, exactly. So, you know, just as a reminder to those who are attending, if you have any questions for Stephanie, please go to the chat room and let us know. There's a couple of questions that we see here. One question to start: how have your staff managed the shift in business? You know, especially with PPE and the closeness. I mean, you keep talking relationships and customer service, but yet there's still some limitations to that. So how have your staff managed the shift?
So we've got a few different departments. The upfront department, the customer service department, if you will, yes, they've been working from home. They still do. We've been staggering our shifts because, again, as the groups have been been growing in size and we've been allowed to gather more intimately, we've been very, very mindful of social distancing in our store. So we've only had, 1 or 2 people in at a time to make sure we could service effectively. And then also we're mindful of the team in the back with production because, again, of those numbers and those measures. So everyone's been very cooperative in our industry because of concerns around, dust and fabrication. N95 masks have always been something that has been a normal part of our day-to-day. So we've been transitioning into different masks for certain purposes, more so upfront, face shields, social distancing markers, plexiglass in that respect. But the team also has now sanitation guidelines that they're following and protocols, again, in the way of staggering shifts and breaks that everyone is actually been very compliant with. I mean, I think, again, at first it took a matter of adjusting to the realities that this isn't going to be a short-term thing, if you will, and this is here for a longer haul. But for the most part, everyone is really on board. And those employees that haven't been comfortable returning to work or couldn't return to work for a variety of reasons. I mean, my kids are running around somewhere here right now while I'm working from home. We've been able to work with that. And I think everyone is appreciative of that.
Right. So the other question is that's come from our audience. What online tools do you wish you would have had or that you wish you had that are not yet accessible to you?
That is a good question.
And we can add software. What software have you changed in order to, again, I guess, add to the customer experience, but also in the closing of the sale, if they order, have you changed some of your ways at which you can go from just viewing to actually closing in that cycle of business?
Well, a lot of our paperwork we can do, again, remotely. In the way of processing payments, truly, we've been encouraging our clients to do e-transfers, and that has also helped bring our costs down because processing, credit cards really can be quite a fee. So if anything, I would say I'd probably look to explore more of maybe a PayPal type solution or an online solution in that respect that would allow our clients to continue to securely make payment as opposed to e-transfer, because sometimes, these transactions can be larger ticket items and, not everybody has the ability to move that kind of money around. So that would probably be something that we'll continue to explore as we continue down this road.
Okay, just one last question as we wrap you up. This is excellent. As a discounter, I knew I had to get it in there somewhere in the world of email, but do you find clients require more support and hand-holding to make a decision when it comes to this consumer product that really it's their, their showpiece in their home?
Yes, but that's always been there. And
by the way, don't hold hands.
Sorry.
No hand holding. Yeah. Let's be
exactly.
clear here. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. No pun intended. Yes, it is a big decision. The kitchen is generally the focal point of the home. And so clients, when they're making these decisions, they really do rely on us to make sure, as the subject matter expert, that we're guiding them in a direction that's going to be timeless and elegant and create the look that they're after. And so also for us from a learning standpoint, because, conventions and, seminars have switched, we're still trying to learn and keep up with the trends so that we can share that information with our clients. Because yes, it is an intimate process, but it always will be. And it's just really nice to see how we've been able to switch and how much I'm using my cell phone to communicate. And I'm comfortable with that because we've slowed, in essence, our business down while we've ramped up in different ways. So
perfect.
I don't know if I answered the question, but thank you.
Well, we're going to find out. What may happen is as this goes on, people may come back and say, I did have a question for Stephanie. So stay tuned to the chat box and we'll go from there. But let's move on to number 2. So thank you, Stephanie. Next guests, our next panelists are April and Sarah, also known on social media as This Kind of Life and TKL Media. And together they've built an online community of over 20,000 like-minded women using their professional backgrounds in television media, photography, videography, and writing. They create organic content for brands that engages, inspires, and captivates. And their influencer approach helps you connect with your audience, growing your following, and generate sales from social media posts. So welcome to April and Sarah.
Thank you.
There they are. Good morning. I keep saying it's morning. You know, this is what happens when you wake up so early in the morning. It's getting ready for this. So as you know, so tell us more about the April and Sarah and the world of influence. To me, it's a very personal thing because I hear about these influencers and I've got 1 million views and I can help you connect with the world. So give us your shtick.
Well, in terms of influencer marketing, we certainly don't have 1 million views.
Okay. Not yet, but after today, it's going to go through the roof. So hang on. This is a game changer right now.
Yeah, I mean, influencer marketing is certainly one approach that I think is really valuable, especially now. We've always been really strong, felt really strongly about supporting local business. So that's certainly something retailers should be looking at, is finding influencers in their community that can reach their local audience. But influencer marketing is really just one strategy that a lot of retailers should be utilizing or can be utilizing right now. I mean, certainly, we've seen during COVID and before COVID, a lot of retail was moving online. So through websites, but also social media. So we are seeing more and more people sort of, moving to their social media sites for shopping. And we're seeing, retailers really enhancing their social media platforms as well as their websites to allow shoppers, just convenience and to make sure it's an easy transaction both on their websites and through their social media. And we're really recognizing that there seems to be more emphasis on making sure that aesthetic is there from in-store locations to their websites, to their social media, just a consistency through it all so that shoppers are getting that experience. And then from there, a great idea would be to find influencers that sort of align with that aesthetic and align with that visual branding of your company, and work with them and to help them to reach further audiences, because that's certainly a challenge online now that everyone is moving online and onto social. Standing out is now becomes the greatest challenge.
I think that the key word too is authenticity, and that's why influencers are sort of like approached by businesses, because they are authentic and people trust their views on what products to support. So when we talk about our influencer approach for the clients that we work with, it really is about getting them into the forefront and showing people what they do with their products, why people should be using their products from an authentic point of view, instead of just like, sale, look at this, we're doing this. So it's really about creating a connection with your community as well.
Do you find that the timeline between social media, because, I'll put it into two questions. First of all, social media has sort of demographic differences. So if you're looking at a younger generation of buyers, retail buyers, and then let's call them middle-aged versus the older population, how do you modify your social media presence to address all of those markets for a brand or a consumer or a company that addresses all three of those?
It's a good question. See, we work with a plethora of different clients. That one that really is pertaining to like the mom market, one that's really about people middle-aged and up with a lot of money. One is really geared toward women. And I think you just have to be really in tune with what your messaging is and your authentic voice is. And so, I mean, you do have to service your clients, but you also have to be real, because people are going to see through that.
I think knowing, like, we would create maybe the same type of content to share on multiple platforms, but we would tailor it to that platform. So for instance, Facebook is going to be an older demographic. If you have a younger demographic, you're going to want to be on TikTok and Instagram. I mean, Instagram is known as being the most shoppable and sort of certainly hitting that mom market, but certainly well beyond that. So certainly tailoring, and I wouldn't say you have to only be on one of those platforms, but focusing on that main platform, if that's where the majority of your audience is. If your audience is and your customers are 20 years to 30 years old, like, you need to be on TikTok. And, that's where you need to focus the majority of your effort. Certainly don't forget the other platforms, but you can use the same content in a creative way across all platforms.
Right.
So that you're maximizing its reach.
Yeah, because one of the things you want brand identity. So you don't want to have mixed messages across the platforms regardless, because you could have a household. I have 20-year-olds who, TikTok, and my door is constantly being knocked upon by somebody delivering something. There's something that, like, if I haven't yet, and here's a point of, and I know it's available, but I need to invent somebody to put boxes in because the neighbors probably are stealing half the stuff coming to my house, and there goes my Christmas shopping. But going back to your 20,000 online, so what has been, this is experience. How do you create trust? I mean, trust is in this online platform. How do you create trust, or what advice do you give to our audience on creating trust through social media in the word authenticity?
Yeah. Well, authenticity, but I mean, that word does get overused, but I think it also it's really being real and not being afraid to face up when things are incorrect or when there's negative things happening, being relevant in terms of what's happening in, social media conversations. So what we saw with the Black Lives Matter, and just showcasing, certainly there's, you need to be showing diversity. And now if you were to be ignoring that on your socials, over the last few months, certainly you're missing the mark. And so, really being authentic and being real and being aware of what is happening is hugely important.
I'd also say don't just jump on something because you think it's trendy. Oh, yeah. You have to come at it with like a sense of like, what do you have to offer this as well? And in a way that you can be real. I mean, Black Lives Matter was a fantastic point where we always thought that we were showing diversity in what we were doing, but we recognized that we had a lot of learning to do. And so we put it out there by saying like, look, we're not perfect, but we're willing to do the work to learn this. When we did find some other people were like, you should be doing this. And it was coming from a place of like women that look like us, not women that should be educating other women. So,
right.
And I think really it's consistency. So, being consistent, not showing up showing up once every 2 weeks is not 2 weeks is not going to build trust and a relationship with these people on your socials. You need to really be there, showing up for the conversations, showing them the good, the bad, the behind the scenes, and really that relationship evolves over time.
I'd also say too, not leaving people hanging. If they comment, you should be on there right away, because that's part of social media and in part of like, because we always say, this isn't like you're selling, but it's a soft sell and you want people to be part of your community. So if people comment and you don't comment back, that doesn't show very good customer service. So you have to use your social media as an extension of your customer service. Because Sarah runs one of the accounts for one of our clients, and they actually book appointments on social media. So people are using social media for so many different ways now. So showing up, I think that's the other thing. Be real, show up.
Which, and as an entrepreneur, as a sole proprietor, it's sometimes difficult to focus all that time and energy because you're managing the shift, you're managing people, you're managing customers, and then they say, oh, by the way, Michael, you have to be on social media, you have to push. So how do you choose? One of the questions that is, how do you use social media to get sales without sounds like a traditional ad, and with online, we used to avoid phone calls on a landline at 6 o'clock because we knew it was somebody trying to sell us something we didn't need. And is this happening online too through social media? It says, oh my goodness, here we go, another ad before I do anything.
So we always promote the soft sell approach. So, you should be using your social media certainly to sell, and you want to be tagging products and using all of the different features that are available to you on the different platforms. But you have to remember that it's a community. So you also want to be sharing about your brand. You want to be sharing about your values, about what's important to you as a brand. And then maybe there's a post about a product. So it's not just constantly posting about products and sales and promotions. It's sort of intertwining the promotional posts in with the other posts, and you always want to educate. So you want to be sharing, why the product is great and what it's going to do to make someone's life easier or better, or why it's aspirational, or whatever sort of aligns with your brand.
Especially keywords right now that you should be looking at, like contactless is still a big issue, delivery is still an issue, like a trending topic. So meet your clients where they're at. So if you have people that are worried about shopping, then one of your posts is about, we're going to make shopping really easy for you. Just like even a post is about how you're keeping people safe. So you're not always talking about, look at this great shirt that I'm selling. It's like, oh, by the way, when you come to the store, this is what we're doing to help you. Or here's a behind the scenes look of what we're doing to prepare for COVID. So like the Granite would be Stephanie's store would be a great post where you're showing you know, when you come to our store, this is what will be greeting you, but we're still the same people. So like, not just about like Sarah says, you're not just always like, this is a great shirt, look at this outfit, like, you know, it's everything.
Yeah. So what do you think is the next, you know, when you talk TikTok and they're in the media right now, Chinese owned, and there's some backlash, and I have a homestay student from China, he says, don't believe everything you read because it's propaganda and so on and so forth. But what do you think is the next big social media platform that's going to come out that is going to address some of the things that we saw in COVID?
There's a few out there. There's always new social media platforms coming up. And I mean, I think we're going to be seeing TikTok for a while, to be honest. I think TikTok will stay. Listen, like we're on it. Sometimes I can't bring myself. I'm like, I don't know if I can do these dances with my daughter, but I think it really is here to stay. And I think we need to learn to embrace it. I know Instagram is going to be rolling out some new features similar to TikTok. So that's, I think Instagram is certainly still in the game. And I know Facebook is sort of heading out, but I think, the older demographic is there. And then Twitter is always the good backup because it never goes down and the other ones always do.
I think the one that's going to be king is the one that makes it easy for everybody to do everything.
That's right.
So that's why I'm voting for Instagram because
you're voting for Instagram. Okay.
Yeah. Like, I think that a lot of people, especially me, like I'm pretty lazy. So, I mean, I don't want to leave an app to go see something else. Like, just give it to me here, or I'm just not going to invest. So I think Instagram is definitely leading the way in that.
Okay. Well, perfect. Thank you, ladies. April, Sarah, thank you so much. We're now going to move on from countertops to influencers to cannabis.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
It was John's graduation. We were so proud. We all got together for a picnic. That's when we heard coming from the radio. So we stopped and we listened. It helped us get to safety. That's why when I think of John, because now he has a real future to look forward to.
Do you have something to share? Let everyone know about your next meeting, your need for volunteers, or your fundraising event on the Rogers TV Community Billboard. Send us your words and we'll bring them to life on Rogers TV and rogerstv.com. When it's time to spread the word, go to rogerstv.com to add your announcement to the Community Billboard.
So I'd like to introduce Ryan Grenville. Ryan Grenville is the cannabis retail manager at One Plant Berry. Prior to joining One Plant, he has 10 years of experience in hospitality management, recently transitioned into the cannabis retail industry. He's currently working at brand development and the retail experience within the new and evolving legal cannabis industry in Ontario. So Ryan, welcome to the panel.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure. So, what's wonderful is we finally got to a point probably in cannabis, legal cannabis, that it's mainstream conversation. It's not one of those, behind the scenes water cooler conversations that you had when nobody was listening. And now it's, the edibles are available and the knowledge and the education is there. So give us a little bit of a background of One Plant and where it's evolving.
Yeah, One Plant has been a really great company to work for so far. I signed on in December of last year. They had a location out in Ajax, and they've been moving their way north from there, Stouffville, and I think we were the third store here. They've done a really good job. They created a system and a brand for cannabis that has not been matched, in my opinion, yet. There's a few stores on the market currently, but the whole point is to have a big selection, really knowledgeable staff. There's a couple options for how you place your orders too here. And, things have been sped along definitely by COVID, but we can talk about that a bit more after. The idea of coming into the store, there's a lot of people who don't love technology, who are a little weary of cannabis, who want to chat with somebody, place an order in person and pay cash, and that's absolutely fine. And then we also have our self-serve options too, right? We have tablets. You can walk in, get tons of information about products you may want to know, filter and sort based on that, place an order, really interact with nobody, get your order and be on the door without, being sold anything, so to speak.
Right.
Giving people the option.
Yeah. One of the things I realized when I went, I will tell everyone, I went to one plant. I actually thought as I was going in there, I was going back to the store they used to call Consumers Distributing, where you looked at a catalog, you picked what you wanted, and then you placed your order, and then somebody behind the screen would say, ta-da, Michael, here's your product. Have a great day, and you would leave. So, too bad they weren't in the business still, because if you think about, old retail, do you remember Consumers Distributing, Ryan?
I do, actually. I've
just checking.
Taken their thinking this is the most boring store ever as a kid, because you can't see anything. You just look at a catalog.
That's right, exactly. And so you're the same way. So and education is so key, because as I went in there and I asked questions, I said, so I don't want, and I guess this is, no holds barred. I don't want to be down and out in 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So what questions do people ask you when they come in?
We get, every question you could possibly imagine under the sun.
Can you give us an example without bringing my name up?
Yeah, no. People, a big thing is potency. People want to know what the potency of a product is. People want to, talk about specific effects of different strains. Some people have no idea what they're looking for. They're like, I have no idea why I come in. We just do our best to try to match them with the appropriate product before they leave. It's all about looking at their end goal and what they're hoping to take from it. We have a recreational license. We're not allowed to touch on the medicinal side of things. It's a really heavily regulated industry. So it can tie our hands at times. We do the best to work within, the restrictions that we've got to give people the best possible experience.
Right.
The big question is, what does this taste like? One of the things we have had to take down because of COVID was our sensory displays, which is essentially a series of tables with actual jars of cannabis on them, where there's a tablet in front of it. You can look at the cannabis. You can look under a microscope or a magnifying glass. You can, remove a tab and smell it, and then read about how it was grown, where it's from, more about the production and the, potential effects of it. We've had to take that down. So a lot more onus has been on the staff, having experience with that, being able to speak to it.
Wow. And so you're regulated as to where you buy your products. Definitely. Can you speak a little bit about, how the ordering process is? And I'm assuming, and I never assume, but everyone who's in this space, because I think there's 3 stores in Barrie now, 3 cannabis OCSs in Barrie. So do you all buy from the same suppliers, and how do you differentiate yourself from the other areas out there other than location?
There's 3 stores. One of the things we do is, we give people options on how to purchase their cannabis. We purchase the same cannabis as every other legal store will have the exact same options. How it works essentially is our distributor is the OCS, the wholesale division. So the provincial government every week will send me a sheet saying, this is what's available. And much like, not like other retail, it's completely different every week. It's a living plant. They may grow, 2 tons of this one week and not have it available for 3 weeks. So it's hard to create a brand loyalty when there's different products available every week. So staff education is the big thing. You're going to have, 5 types of a single strain available, and letting staff know, and they're not always called that either, because, some companies, Canopy and Aurora, are not calling things their original strain names. They're trying to create brand loyalty by, creating their own brand names for that. So having staff educated and knowledgeable about that product and knowing this is going to have similar effects to this is the biggest part of that.
Now, do you have restrictions on advertising, marketing? We talked to April and Sarah about social media. I haven't seen a lot of ads pop up before I watched the YouTube video talking about one plant in Barrie or any cannabis store. So are there provincial restrictions on marketing and advertising in this space?
Yeah, very much so. Essentially, the rule about cannabis advertising is don't.
Okay.
We do have a social media account, One Plant Berry on Instagram. We're not going to show photos of any of our products or anything because that's not an age-gated thing. We can't protect younger consumers from looking at that and getting it. So, we'll talk more about the lifestyle of it. We'll talk about what's going on sometimes. There's no traditional marketing allowed.
So I'm going to go to a question I'm reading here. So how was your journey from opening to today with the various changes, and how are you able to do business? Are there things you learned along the way that could help other businesses?
Yeah, it was a rocky road, pivoting. We opened our doors in January, and then I think this COVID stuff really started to hit hard 3.5, 4 months later, where we had to completely change our business model. One day we were told we were shutting down. The next day we were told we're allowed to do delivery and curbside. And then, a week later we were told we're shutting down again. And then, 2 days later, successful lobbies allowed us to keep going. Just be willing to put in some time. There was meetings going till, 10, 11 o'clock at night sometimes. There was a lot of calls and strategies, keeping things consistent throughout all 4 One Plant stores as well. Was a challenge. Constant communication, reading up on what the regulations are, and then having a really good support team. We have a CTO, Brandon, who's everybody's got their tech guy. This guy is an absolute wizard, and he pivoted and created a website that would allow for delivery, tracking, everything like that within, 72 hours. So, we had a lot of help along the way.
So and if we talk about customer relationship marketing, so if I'm a consumer and I go in and facial recognition tells me who I am before I even get in the door, can I have the product ready right then and there? So they say, okay, last time you were in here, you got this, this, and this. You want the same order, and you just go in. Are you allowed to do that? Is there some form of CRM in your business?
I think we would lose a lot of customers if we did that. A big concern here is privacy, and I think we even talked about this personally, is people worried about border crossing restrictions and stuff like that. A lot of people still, aren't entirely comfortable with cannabis being an above board discussion, even though, it's more in the mainstream. I think a lot of people choose to pay cash for that reason. They don't want anything showing on their bank statements. So I think we might alienate a large, portion of our client base if we went to anything like that. The option we do have is a fully functional e-commerce website. Basically, you go on, you choose what you want, you place your order, and you can come in the store and pick it up. It's all prepaid. You virtually have to do except say an order number.
Perfect. And so it's curbside, so I don't have to show my face on a camera in the store.
So we were offering curbside. We're just doing in-store pickup now, but we think it forced us into this strong e-commerce presence a lot sooner than we wanted to. The COVID changes we had, so in some ways, it forced us to evolve very, very quickly, which was longer-term goals.
Yeah. So what online tools do you wish you had, or that you're looking for, your CTO is looking for, to make this more engaging, or maybe you get some feedback for information to your consumers?
Having more, we haven't really had a lot of things we're wanting for, like I said, there's a lot of restrictions, so we can't have too much marketing or anything like that. We have a basic e-commerce site. There's definitely a bigger, better version in development right now, but as far as like a logistics tracking system for our first round of delivery specific to cannabis, obviously would have been really nice. So we didn't have to have our people write one. If there was, existing code or a program where we could just jump on and say, hey, we're using this, that would be great. But unfortunately, cannabis being such a frontier industry right now, there was nothing ready. So the flexibility of people working behind the scenes, they developed that rather quickly.
Okay, perfect. We're going to move on. Thank you, Ryan. If you have any more questions, you know where you are. You're on Essa Road by the 400. So great information. So thank you. All right. Our next panelist, all the way from the awesome town of Collingwood. See, you notice the C theme, from cannabis, countertops, influencers, and now we have Brandon, CEO of Switch Video, a Collingwood-based video production studio with clients in 15 countries, ranging from startups to Fortune 500s. The founder of the Collingwood Foundry, a co-working space in downtown Collingwood with a community of over 30 businesses. He has 16 years experience as an entrepreneur, and he's grown multiple businesses, including a web development agency he founded in 2004 and sold it in 2015. As a community builder, he's recently launched 2 co-working spaces where he consults and mentors with other entrepreneurs. Most recently, he's launched Collingwood Commons, a free business marketplace to help local businesses start selling online. So Brandon, you are in the e-commerce space. It is your responsibility to help small entrepreneurs, small business owners in the Collingwood area to launch. So give us your a little bit of your history and where you see yourself going.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, my history is actually what led into developing the Collingwood Commons. So that was my background in web development was what I leaned into when retailers were forced to shut down in March. What I looked at was the amount of retailers that didn't currently have an online e-commerce presence, and that was right. Why I said, okay, well, let's see what we can do to help them locally. And I spent a couple of weeks building the Commons as an online marketplace to sort of introduce them to the concept of e-commerce if they haven't already tested the market a little bit. It was a way to introduce them to it, hold their hand a little bit, help them get on board in a quick and easy way where they can start taking payments and selling products. And the goal of it really was just to act as an introduction and a stepping stone into growing into a larger e-commerce system like Shopify or something else like that. So it was really just a simplified version. And what it actually evolved into was a community marketplace. So it grew from selling individual retailers' products to almost like a mini Amazon marketplace where you could effectively shop through multiple retailers in Collingwood, buy from them in a single cart checkout, and get the products. So it actually introduced a lot of opportunities. We recently ran a Canada Day campaign where a bunch of the retailers came together and produced some packages or some specials that they could sell for the porch parties that were going on in Collingwood. So it actually gave them an opportunity to put together promotions and sort of cross collaborate or cross promote each other. So it really became a good community platform. And what we actually noticed was even the ones that weren't doing a lot of online sales, what was happening was as the retail stores were starting to open back up, it was actually acting as a promotional tool, showcasing some of the products that were available that people could then see and then go into the store and buy them directly. And we actually heard from several retailers that that's actually what was happening. So while they weren't selling directly through the website, it was acting as a really good central marketing tool for the retailers that were listed on there.
Wow. So can you give me sort of a synopsis as to when you first started this? I don't know if you went out looking or people came to you. What was the typical business that were pivoting, we'll keep using from I'm assuming a storefront or a home-based business to an online platform, and some of the challenges that you worked through with them?
Yeah, so most of them were storefronts, brick and mortar, that were shut down. There were a few home-based businesses, but for the most part, it was storefronts, a lot of the downtown retailers on the main street. And really it was, they hadn't previously gotten into e-commerce, and this was a way to step them into that. So what I actually did was put out a webinar that sort of introduced them to the concept, and then pre-recorded a bunch of videos to give them a step-by-step on how to add a product, how to set up their Stripe account to be able to take payments and things like that. So it was trying to make it as simple as possible, and then I was a phone call away or an email away to be able to support them as it grew.
And how's it going so far? When did you start the Commons? And was this because of COVID, pre-COVID? What was the more metamorphosis of the Commons?
Yeah, it was definitely because of COVID. It was reactionary. It was noticing that everybody was shut down and couldn't sell, and wanting to do something to give back to the community. So it's grown quite a bit. I think we're sitting at over 60 retailers. I'd have to go back and double check the current numbers. The sales were fantastic through it, and then what actually happened was, as retailers were opening back up, it actually acted as a central marketplace for retailers to be able to buy their PPE gear as well. So there was actually PPE gear that was being sold and distributed through it also. So it was not just the e-commerce platform for them to sell their own products, but it gave them some resources to be able to reopen effectively as well.
So one of the questions that was asked by our group here today is, moving forward, do you think there's really going to be a need for bricks and mortar? Since both have platforms running, do you find some of your customers saying, instead of having a lease or own a building, I can be as successful with less cost than having bricks and mortar? What do you see is the future of retail in this platform?
Yeah, I think there'll always be a spot for bricks and mortar because people will still want to come into the storefront. I don't think we'll ever see that go away. I do a lot of purchases online, but whenever possible, I'll still go into a store. But I think what might change is the actual use of the brick and mortar store. So for direct sales, for somebody that just wants to buy a product, that might happen through e-commerce. But what's going to happen in the brick and mortar is it gives you a chance to provide more experiential things tied to your brand. So it's that more personal connection piece. It's that customers coming in, showcasing and educating them on your products, guiding you through questions that they might have. That personal touch, I think, is still really important. And setting up those experiences is actually what I think is going to become a big part of keeping those bricks and mortar.
Right. No, just to share with the group that Scott Galloway, who's a professor at NYU, wrote recently, "The store is not dead," and he highlights Apple that spent $7 billion on stores, but stores are no longer stores. They're more, as he puts it, the luxurious, shiny glass temples. Stores were first physical interaction with product that introduces you to a relationship with a brand, so it certainly ties into everything else. And Apple's not alone. Some of the most successful on-time retailers like Warby Products and Bonobos. So yeah, definitely, I think it's there. One of the other questions that we have, once we get, here's the new term that we forgot to introduce, the new normal, right? And we can argue whether there will be ever a new normal. We are the normal right now. It's not new anymore. Will the Commons remain live?
Absolutely, because I think it's become a really great marketplace for businesses to be able to work together and act as a central promotional tool for the community of Collingwood. So I don't see it going away anywhere. It may change over the next few months as people start going back into the storefronts more regularly. It might shift into more of that promotional piece and more of that providing the online relationship building for the retailers that are on it.
Right. Wow. So one of the other questions is, and it's actually a good one, do you think we'll ever get to go shopping in virtual reality? That I'll put on my goggles, as ugly as they may look, and I'm in your store right now and I'm walking around, other than I can't touch it, I can still see everything that is there.
Yeah, there's been experiments with that over the last probably 2 decades. Like that's actually something that's been worked on. I don't know that that'll ever become the normal, because when somebody is purchasing a product and wants to see it in person, nothing is going to replace that tactile feel, that being in and physically interacting with that object. I don't know that it'll ever shift entirely away from that.
Right. Well, we don't know. Just one other comments from Scott Galloway, and as you can tell, I'm kind of a fan of his writing from his No Mercy, No Malice. He says, any retailer that wants to double its revenue in the next 5 years has to figure out a way to get into a monogamous relationship with the consumer into a recurring revenue model. And a lot of that, if you look at what's changing now, I mean, you've got Amazon Prime, which is subscription. Costco is a subscription. To play in the game, to be membership has its values and has its benefits. I mean, and now Walmart Plus is coming on board and things of that nature. Is there a future, and how do you provide suggestions to retailers to say, let's have how do we create a subscription and to create that revenue model?
Yeah, I mean, the subscription-based model is fantastic. We've seen a lot of local businesses that do that. Pretty much any type of retail product you could probably build into a subscription-based model. Any type of those box models, the monthly boxes, and there's actually an opportunity there for multiple retailers within a community to potentially collaborate and put together community boxes. There's actually been examples of that in a few cities in the U.S. where there's actually boxes for San Francisco that you can order and boxes for San Jose, things like that. So it provides an interesting opportunity for retailers to work together and provide a little more value and something a little more unique, because the big challenge is when you're going into e-commerce and you're going online, you're going up against things like Amazon, which generally it comes down to price and reviews, right? And a lot of products start to look the same. So providing those unique experiences or those unique options are the only thing that's going to make you stand out amongst all of those other competitors.
Yeah. And it's a tough one because I think research shows that anytime you're looking, I'll give you a perfect example. I was looking for a bird bath. Apparently bird baths are the most sought after commodity in the marketplace. And, so you type in bird bath and sure enough, Amazon comes up, Wayfair comes up, Lowe's, Home Depot. I'm thinking there's probably a guy down the street or a business down the street who makes customized, but how do they get into the top of these spaces? That if I say, Alexa, find me a bird bath, that they say in Barrie, in Collingwood, in Midland, wherever you may be, here's your local bird bath.
Yeah, I mean, that's a challenge because with things like Amazon, a lot of times it comes down to what are your marketing dollars. So it's really about digging into maybe something ultra niche and promoting it that way. That's really the only way that you're going to truly stand out in the crowd.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Brandon. We're coming to the point of our day. We're going to pass it back to Jenna. Thank you all panelists for all your time, and to our audience today. If there's more questions, I'm sure HBEC and their team can help you out. So Jenna, I'm passing it back to you.
All right, thank you, Michael, and thank you to all of our panelists for taking the time to join us and sharing your experiences and expertise with us. And thanks again, Michael, for moderating this and keeping us laughing throughout this event. My name is Jenna, and I am the Events and Promotions Coordinator for the Henry Bernick Entrepreneurship Center. We have one more iced coffee talk coming this summer. It will take place on August 20th at 1 p.m. This event is called Growing Stronger Together. The panelists will speak to the value of collaborations and partnerships, and we will be announcing the full panel shortly, so stay tuned for that. We'd love for you to get to know the Henry Bernick Center a little bit more, so please visit our website. We can be found on all social media platforms, and you can also watch all of our past coffee talks on our YouTube channel, as well as this one today. I will put them into the chat so you can see them. But thank you everyone for joining us today. It's a beautiful day, so I hope you have a chance to go outside this afternoon, and thank you for choosing to spend the beginning of your afternoon with us at the Henry Bernick Center, and stay safe, everyone.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm Michael Agama, and this has been The Future of Retail.